Then Samuel presented, the word was God, therefore he's God. Now amazingly, what you won't be told by our Christian activists and Christian preachers and missionaries about this verse is that it is actually mistranslated deliberately in modern Bibles. Because when you go to the Greek, here, the word for God with capital G is ho theos. And where the word is described as God, it is ton theos, which is correctly translated in many biblical translations as divine with smaller or lowercase d. They did not translate it as God with capital G. Christians are doing this with their Bibles. Some Bibles translate this word, God, which is in the Greek language, ton theos, as divine with lowercase d. And other Bibles translate this as God with capital G. But then, amazingly, when you go to the book of Corinthians, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, there the word in the Greek language, ho theos, which means the God with capital G, is used for the devil, and it is translated with lowercase g, amazingly. So what games are these translators playing? When it should be capital G, because the word is used for the devil, it is translated in modern Bibles as lowercase d, that he's divine in the lower sense. And when it is supposed to be translated correctly, ton theos, it should be divine with lowercase d, it is translated with capital G. So this is something you have to come and explain.
At John chapter 1 verse 1, where it says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God, you're saying that that is mistranslated. You completely got the Greek wrong. It says kai ho logos en pros ton theon. Now the ton theon there has got nothing to do with being a capital G God or a lowercase God. It's got to do with the accusative case. And so you just can't go ton theon equals lowercase God, because throughout the rest of the Greek New Testament, ton theon applies to the Creator. Right? So if you're going to refer to Greek language, you may have got that from Ahmed Deedat, but he didn't know Greek. Right? Ahmed Deedat really didn't know much of what he's talking about in this regard. So I just want to say you're dismissive, but then once you come into the languages, I don't think you can hold your own.
Ahmed Deedat didn't know the Greek language. Samuel is absolutely right. Ahmed Deedat did know the Greek language, and I did not refer to Ahmed Deedat once as my source. No, I was referring to Christian scholars translating the New Testament, such as the New Testament and American translation, Edgar Goodspeed and J.M. Powys Smith, the University of Chicago. They translate the verse as follows: in the beginning the Word existed, the Word was with God, and the Word was divine with lowercase d. Then we come to the Dictionary of the Bible by John McKenzie. The translation is, but in fact he states in John 1:1 should rigorously be translated, the Word was with the God, capital G, and the Word was a divine being with lowercase d. I'm sure these people knew the Greek language because they're translating the Bible from the Greek language. So Ahmed Deedat was not my source. Just wanted to make that point very quickly. Then Samuel presented, the word was God, therefore he's God. Now amazingly, what you won't be told by our Christian activists and Christian preachers and missionaries about this verse is that it is actually mistranslated deliberately in modern Bibles.
So one last thing. You continue to tell people that the anarthrous theos of John 1:1 should translate a God. So in John 1:6, only 5 verses later, we have egeneto anthropos, apostomenos para theou. There came a man sent from, and theou does not have an article. So are you saying that the proper translation of John 1:6 should be, there came a man sent from a God?
When you look at John 1:1, it's NRK en ho logos, kai logos, en pros. Let's go back to John 1:1. NRK en ho logos, kai logos, en pros ton theon, kai theos en ho logos. I'm just saying, as it occurs there in John 1:1, the ton theon is with a definite article. The kai theos is without the definite article. When you look at the utilization of the word of the logos, and certainly the fact that theos is used in many contexts within the New Testament without the definite article, in all those instances, it refers to, for example, a Roman governor. It refers to an individual human being.
John 1:6, was John sent by God or a God?
It could be a divine.
Can you explain how 94% of the time theos does not have an article, but it's almost never translated a God?
I would say that context would be the final arbiter in defining that particular issue.
Do you know how to determine which of 2 nominatives are the subject when you use a copulative verb in Greek?
I'm just simply saying I'm not an
Yes
expert.
or no?
I'm not an expert in Greek. I'm studying Greek, by the way.
Yes or
I am
no?
studying Greek, by the way.
Yusuf,
I'm studying
I
Greek,
teach
by the way.
If theos had an article and it has a copulative noun, what would that mean? Would it not mean that all of the logos is all of God? Is that not?
It would probably
So
imply
the fact that it's not there does not mean that it can be translated a God,
but then
right?
what do you mean when you say in the beginning was a word and the word was a God and the word was God? How can God be in the beginning and how can God be with God? The sentence doesn't make sense unless you assume that the last God, the theos, is different from the ton theon. Otherwise, the sentence would be illogical. It would not make sense.
Time is up.
Is that your
And
first question?
Believe me, I would love to tear that apart because I'm sorry, on that subject, you just don't know what you're talking about.
You're the Greek expert. You're the Greek expert.
Why don't you ask that to me and let me respond to it? I dare you.